Alrighty, so here we go. I want to illustrate a few things here. Let me just pull up a little bit. What would we do when building maps? Now, you probably recognize these assets. They're all from the starter content, which we already have being stored in this chunk right here, which is chunk 1000. I would close that. We can also, do some editing. Like say, I may create my maps, or a maps, Illustra. I'm gonna go ahead and actually go ahead and make a new folder for my assets. And I'm not really doing any other thing in here. Whoops, I got my caps lock. Sorry about that. Alright, so now I'm more consistent. And you say, well, where are my assets? Well, I'm using all the stuff from the starter content. So obviously, an asset is very different from a actor. An actor is an instance of, this is an instance of an asset, but that asset is here. And again, it's getting into the code through this pack automatically loaded. So look at my Illustra Steam. What have I done? Just to make things a little different. I've basically taken these two guys and made these two and these two, and then I took these three guys and made this back here, so that I would have something a little bit different to work with. But again, all of these assets, by the way, I'm going to change that. Open this assets folder. I'm going to show you why. What I want to do is I want to make an asset from another set of assets, just so that I can show that I have a unique asset that's unique to this map. And what I can do is, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this asset right here. I'm going to change it to another material, just so it's a little different. I'm going to go with some moss. It's going to be a little grassy thing. And then what I'm going to do is I want to say, and I want to call that my, I'm going to rename it, edit, rename. Oops, that's the wrong one. Let me change that. Alright. Rename. Again, I'm just kind of showing a little really simple map building project here. Rename this to, I kind of like to be consistent, _center. This is annoying me. Oh, I got caps lock on. Dummy me. _center. And I can spell. I'm really showing everything into there, right? Alright, so _center. What I want to do is I want to take all of these outside assets and I want to make it a single asset. And I'm going to show you why, because in a way, I've got a pattern here, right? This has got one set of materials, and this has another set of materials. And I want them to kind of like share, these to share a material, and these to share a material. We can kind of make that happen by merging an asset. So I'm going to go ahead and select all three of these, just so I know I got them. Now that they're here, I'm going to go up to this point, and I want to say that I want to merge the actors. Or do I want to do that? Yeah, I want to merge the actors. Merge the actors. Where are you? There you are. And what it says, you'll see a list of all of the components that I'm merging. And I'm going to go with a lot of defaults here, just because you'll notice that the UVs are all based on the fact that each of these have individual materials, so we'll have the flexibility we want in the future. I'm going to say merge it, and I want you to create a static mesh called floor. I want to call it floor main. And I'm going to say save. So now, oops, and it didn't save in the right place. Alright, I should have been paying attention to that. But we'll fix it. I'm going to show you what happens when things go in the wrong place. You just move it and say move here. And now if I look at assets, this scene now has, and notice that the original is still there. I didn't tell it to replace them because I don't want them to be destroyed. But what I can do is I can now say I want to delete these. And I now want to bring in my new asset. And it's a little tricky. I'm going to have to play with it a little bit. I didn't quite position it well, but you get the idea. Yeah, it'll be good that it steps up. So you see, I've got my new asset that's now part of this project, and I brought it in as an actor. So here it is as an actor, and then here's regional. So that's one of the nice things you can do. But the reason I want to do this is I want to demonstrate not so much how to edit. I'm going to do a file save because I did something significant. Save all. I'm going to do a primary asset label now for the Illustra map. I'm going to show this. So I'm going to go data asset, primary asset label, select, and I'm going to go to panel. Whoops. Helps if I spell right. Gosh, underscore. Illustra. There we go. That's good. Now we're going to go and edit this. I want this to be chunk ID 2000. Now I'm going to say reply recursively, but I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to add an array element here, and I'm going to kind of pull this over a little bit, just so you can see it. And what I want to do is I'm going to select my Illustra map, and then this one just says use whatever I have selected. And now the Illustra map is going to, I'm not going after every asset in the directory. I'm only going after this map and its assets. Okay. So, and that's going to go in chunk 2000. So I'm going to do, say, file save and close it. Now, what's going to be in this asset? It's going to be my custom merged asset, which is a completely brand new asset, new actor, plus the ones that are in the starter content. Now, if I were to load both of these packs at the same time, where would this stuff come from? Well, if obviously I'm loading the starter content first, these would already be in memory. The assets would already be mounted and available, and it would, when it got to my Illustra pack, we're gonna see it would actually say, oh, load these chairs and etc. But since they're already there, all right, it's just not gonna bother. But it will go ahead and load this one. So again, that's the idea of priority. What loads first, and do they replace each other? At this point, once an asset is loaded in a pack, it's loaded because it's mounted, it's available in our assets, and everything's going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and actually see if I can get away with this quickly enough. I think I can. I think it won't be too bad. Cooking it. Cooking. And hopefully it will be quick because most of it's cooked already. Alright. Okay, so again, following the same structure, we should, when we do our process, get what we need. Oh, it's finishing up. Good. I figured this wouldn't be long. Cook is finishing up. And we should be good to go with packaging this in just a few minutes. And as you can see, I got a build successful cook command completed. That's so you see all what happened in the background. I'm going to go ahead now. Remember, what I've done here is I've said that I want this to be chunk ID 2000. Now, it's going to contain the copies of the things, obviously, from the asset manager. And that's why another point I want to make. This will look in other places for things. It's no different than if I showed you migrate, I mean asset actions, migrate, you would see that not only does it get stuff in story maps, but it goes looking in starter content. And again, this primary asset label is going to look for those things. In a way, they're going to be duplicated. But don't worry, it doesn't double load. Once they're loaded, once starter content is already mounted, as seen here, it will already be there and say, hey, I already got that. Not a problem. So let me go ahead now and actually package this up. And I'm taking my chances. It's not going to break because I didn't test this yet. Yeah. Beware, beware. Alright. I'm full of my log. This should be pretty quick, so. And again, we should also see remember how I fixed the PAL from the other version? It should also take care of that. So we should actually see quite a few um, pack files from this operation. One for the starter content, one for the third person, and another for my Illustra map. And we should start seeing the packaging stuff coming up pretty soon. Alright, we are getting close. There's all the temporary files. And there you have it, 4 Unreal pack commands. One for starter content, one for third person, one for Illustra, and one for the root, which gets everything. And again, I'm looking at my log. What am I seeing here? Let me do this here. I am seeing that I have pack chunk 0 right here. I have pack chunk 1000, which you see right here. I have pack chunk 1100, which you see right here. Again, that's the third person map stuff. Well, it's actually not a map. It's a copy of all of the assets under the third person. And then we're going to take one more step further and we see another one, pack chunk 2000. This contains all of the assets that are part of the map. Same thing you would see in Migrate. It includes all the files that are pointed to within it, within the pack, and those that are pointed to elsewhere. Now, it is kind of redundant to do that. One of the reasons we came up with a rule that says please put all your stuff in the same folder is so that you're not grabbing stuff from all over the place. It not necessarily will break everything, but it could. You could potentially replace someone else's asset if you're not careful. If you build a level based on the two things we automatically load, the starter con and third person, this is not going to be a problem. But you could see if you had a slightly different version of starter content or a slightly different version of third person, you could see where things get into trouble really, really quick. Let me take a quick look at the executable. We see that it created the pack chunk files. Sorry if this video is getting a little long. I'm going to bring this over, and now you see that things are broken out a little bit more. We still see this at the same size it was before. We see we have pack chunk 1100. Again, there's not a lot in the third person. It's pretty simple. Our original pack chunk 0 is now just a little bit smaller. And pack chunk 2000, which contains all the assets that we were talking about. Now, how do I know what went into there? This is another thing I want to show you. I'm going to go back up into my template file. I'm going to go into the intermediate files. I'm going to go into the staging file. Whoops, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yep. And where are we? Saved. Temporary packing. You see all the pack chunks files. These are those temporary files. Again, it creates a whole one for nothing is put into them. But I'm going to go all the way down here to pack chunk 2000. And I want to open this text file so you can see it. Let me just bring it over. You can see where it's going to put stuff. You see that it's got all the links I need to my content that's in the Lustre folder. But it's also going to attempt to load all of these. Now, if I'm already got starter content mounted, all of these things already exist. All good. Um, Again, possibility is that what what we have in teacher might be different from what you have in the teacher texture. Again, be careful with this. If everything in your level is here, all good. If you use anything from another from the from the starter content or elsewhere, don't change it because you could. You could change it in your assets. You are going to have a problem because it's not going to be there. If you made this material and the chair texture different somehow, and in your project it looks good, but when you go to execute it, yeah, it's not the same. It's back to the default. So you can see some of the issues. So there you go. Um, Packing explained relative to mapping, and I also give you a good clue as to why I it did not arbitrarily ask you to put all of your custom assets in your own folder. If you use something from starter content or third person and you want it to be unique, make a copy, put it in your own folder so that it becomes your own asset and your own map looks for that asset in that folder. That is more than enough for one video. This is too long already. Have a good day.